speaking of those percentages, man, like we haven't even talked about the co-living method that you could do on top of the VA loan.
Yeah, this is what you're known for. So let's talk about that.
Okay, so if you guys don't know what co-living is, I call it the DD214 strategy because once you implement this, you're out, baby. Because that's exactly what I did, right? Once I implemented this, I was like, "Yo, I'm making some pretty good cash flow now.
Uh-huh.
Let me see if I can do this full time." So,
Josh, what's going on, brother?
yo, what's going on, man? It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute, dude. I wanted you to come on the show, man, because, representing like the veteran community and stuff like that. So can you tell the audience who you are and what you're about?
But yeah, so my name is Josh Villarreal. Nice to meet you guys. And I focus on the real estate industry side and real estate investing. And I also help military members do the same thing.
Okay. What do you do? So how do you help veterans get into the real estate space?
Yeah. So with being in the military, a lot of people don't know they have one of the best wealth building tools in the world, and it's the VA loan. And the crazy part is only 6% of the military has actually used this loan one time in the past 5 years, right? And can I explain how powerful this thing really is?
Bro, please do.
Okay, cool. So first, to qualify, you do have to be in the military for 90 consecutive days active duty or 6 years of reserves. Of course, there's some nuances there with some points and stuff, but we're going to keep it at 90 days and 6 years for reserves, right? So after you get that, you sacrificed a lot just to do that, right? So this is the military and the government saying, hey, thank you. And you get hundreds of thousands of dollars for 0% down, right? To buy to buy property in the United States of America. It's amazing, right? And we
Absolutely
also have
insane.
we have one of the best interest rates as well. And when I say how powerful this thing is, it's one of the most flexible loans out there. So there's no minimum credit score. Of course, if there's credit score, the better credit score you have, better mortgage you're going to have, right? But then there's also no DTI, so debt to income ratio, where a civilian, you would get 34% of your income can go towards a mortgage. Dude, I've seen people get 67%, so they get double the purchase power with the same income. It's
Mhm.
crazy. Plus, there's no loan limit. Dude, okay, this thing, what I'm about to say is actually crazy because this just happened in the past couple months. I don't even know if you know about it yet, but dude, so do you know about the VA rehab loan or VA construction loan just in general?
Yeah, so I only know a bits and piece of it, but I know it was a lot more complicated to get it like squared away, get it qualified, but I think they made it easier, right?
So they did make it easier. Plus, they just added some new literature to what you can actually do with it. Just a couple months ago, they just put this in. Before, you can only, so with the VA rehab loan, how it works is you get a house for 0% down, of course, right? And then the VA or the bank, whatever it is going to give you an allowance for like maybe $30,000, $50,000 to fix it up. Usually back then it was just flooring, paint, nothing crazy, nothing structural at all, right? But dude, they just changed the game, man.
Oh
This
man,
changed the
okay.
game. So one, there is more. Well, essentially, there is no limit on how much rehab costs you can get. So you can get $100,000, $200,000 if you wanted to help build that equity on your home. So the biggest thing for the audience out there is that you want to force equity on a home. That's how you build wealth, right? So a lot of people, they don't have a lot of money themselves, especially me when I first started. I only had 6,500 bucks to my name to even use the VA loan. And doing this exact strategy, I put $30,000 into a home for 0% down. the property's worth $800,000. And then literally just 210 days later, because that's when I cashed out refinance, I got a $96,000 check. And everyone that can qualify for it can do that right now. But for that $30,000, I had to raise it. But now veterans that are listening to this don't have to do that. They can just get it directly from the bank. They don't need to learn this skill. The skill is really great for raising money. But then imagine you don't have to do that anymore.
Bro, because I love how you said that too. You're like, man, that first 30 grand, I had to raise it as the same way that I did my VA loan, because I had to do a $20,000 rehab on this duplex I bought. And I was like, damn, like, I don't have this money, like, just sitting in a checking account. So I had to, like, go borrow it from somebody. And, dude, that's insane. So, like, literally now you can buy a house, get the rehab budget done with literally $0 out of your pocket.
Yeah. Literally, dude, zero. And here's the crazy part, right? You can build ADUs with this money.
Okay. Let's keep talking about that. That's interesting.
All right. Okay. So, for people that don't know what an ADU is, it stands for an accessory dwelling units. It's one of the best ways to build equity right now, to build large sums of money through real estate. So I did this myself. So, for example, in Southern California, this is spreading all across the nation as well. In Southern California, there's a lot of shortage of housing right now. Right? Just across America alone, we're short 6.5 million homes and only building 500,000 homes per year. So that's a huge shortage. That means if we just stay the same, it would still take us 12 years to even catch up to demand, right? So what is the government doing? Because if we're not building more houses, everything's going to be more expensive. So what the government is doing now is that they're incentivizing developers, real estate investors like us to go out there and build. But thing is, inflation went up, right? Things is still expensive. Labor went up too. So how can we find a more efficient way of doing it? And the solution was building additional dwelling units. So it's when you buy a single family home or even a fourplex, right? And adding more units to the property of an existing home already. So what I did, what I love is actually converting garages into another dwelling unit because your cost goes way down, right? Instead of building something from the ground up, with the garage, you already have your foundation, your roof, plumbing, electricity is already baked in there, right? So for example, for me, after I got that $96,000 check from my VA cash out refinance, I actually used $72,000 of that and then built out a 1-1 ADU from my 2-car garage. Dude, I got back a $323,000 tax-free check because I cashed out refinance again.
Oh, okay. So your first cash out refinance on the property, so you rehabbed it, bought it, pulled out $76,000 extra money from your debt.
96,
and then you used your 70-ish to redo your garage, and then you did a whole nother cash out refinance on the whole thing.
Yes.
Dude, what was the value of both properties?
So I bought it for $800. I put a total of $30,000 into it, and that was already including my $6,500, so $6.5K into closing costs. That was all my closing costs as well. It was valued at $1.33 million in 2022. It's actually worth 1.5 now because rent went up, and then San Diego's still going crazy right now. So like 1.55.
Holy cow. So with $30,000, you now have a $1.5 million property.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
It was $6,500 of my own money, though. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's insane. Guys, if you guys are a veteran and you have not leveraged your VA loan, you are doing yourself a massive disservice. Like, that is massive.
So to answer your question, well, to expand more on the ADU play, so imagine now that someone can just get a property and first of all, make sure that the zoning is good, right? You also want to make sure that all your T's are crossed, all your I's are dotted, and then you find out, okay, you can build an ADU. So you buy that property for whatever it is, right? Let's say, so for example, someone in the Bay Area just did this in my community right now. One of my mentees, right? He bought a property. We taught him how to find the deal, and what he's doing right now is that he just closed on it last month for, I think it was like 570,000. Dude, it got appraised for like 730 or something. So he made
Wow.
he made the most money he's ever been done with the VA loan, VA rehab loan, 0% down. And then he took out a little bit over $100,000 for the rehab costs that the VA fully funded, right? And then guess what? He's about to build an ADU in the garage that's going to make him another $100,000 to $150,000 in equity. So for that whole deal, he's looking at like upwards of $400,000 for $0 down.
Man, dude, that is crazy. You said that was in San Francisco?
That was in San Francisco. And there's a lot of people saying, oh, I can't do this in a hot market, expensive market. Dude, if you could do that in one of the most competitive markets in the world, which is San Francisco, imagine what you could do in a regular spot. That's not friggin' $1 million per house.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I will say this though, a lot of people are really afraid of like the big, crazy markets like San Fran, San Diego, all that stuff with the high purchase price. But people got to understand too, like I'm a Midwest investor, right? I'm in Kentucky, I'm in Iowa, like, my houses are like 150, 200,000. And even when you renovate and you fix these homes, like the appreciation isn't like San Diego or San Francisco. Like the reason why these guys can get these big checks at the very end is because these are very high value areas. So don't necessarily be afraid, right, of these high price neighborhoods.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's one of the biggest things. But then again, like there's always opportunity in your backyard wherever you are. So this person, when he came in, he was like, dude, I've been looking at the market for a little bit. There's like there's no opportunity out there. I was like, okay, let me shift your mindset really quick. How many have you looked at? Do you know how to look for properties? What kind of strategies do you have? And then once we started answering those questions, it's like, okay. And then with people in like the Midwest where you're at, dude, you're killing it right now, right? But a lot of people, they're always looking for what is the grass. Well, what's that saying? The grass is always greener on the other side.
Yeah,
Dude, I
100%.
had the same thing in the beginning. I was like, dude, if I was just only in the Midwest, but then I was like, you know what? Let me do what I make do with what I have right now. And then yeah, as long as you keep pushing, like you'll eventually figure it out, especially if you have some help along the way.
100%. So when you bought that first property, what kind of inspired you to do all that stuff? Because I know you were in the Navy. So
hmm
like, what triggered you to be like, you know what, I'm gonna go use my VA loan and buy this house in San Diego?
It was it was not having money pretty much. And the not having money part was because I needed to support my family back home. So short background about me. So I was born from two hardworking immigrant parents that immigrated to Los Angeles. Shout out Dodgers right now. We're winning the World
Yes,
Series,
sir.
baby. So grew up in LA. Typical immigrant family story. Everybody's working, two jobs, all that good stuff. But then when I was 14 years old, my life completely changed due to one morning, both my parents ended up in handcuffs and got forced to back to my home country, which was the Philippines. So that's when I got slapped real hard in the face that this is what life is. They were amazing people, and then they were just forced back to their country. And then during that time, from 14 to 17, I was still in high school. Both of them gave me a choice, was either to go back with them to the Philippines or stay in the US. And then I knew that they sacrificed all of this for a reason. So I pretty much just said, okay, I think I have to stay here and make something happen. So I bounced around between my two aunts and grandma, basically anyone that could take care of me. And then the only thing was, while that 14 to 17 happened, my parents were struggling. They were on the older side. So nobody want to hire old people in a third world country. So their savings was almost zero. And then my mom called me, and then she was like, hey, Josh, we have no more money and there's no one else that could help us. The only person that can is you. And I'm
Holy
like,
cow, dude.
I was like, okay, let me think of how can I make some money, right? How can I support my family? And I was like, oh, I know what to do. Let me sign my life away to the U.S. Navy. So there's a picture of me signing my life away at the recruiting station at 17 years old. So before I was even legal, I had my parents sign it, had to send it over to the Philippines. And then, yeah, that's what started my journey. But then I didn't know $1,200 was not enough to support myself and my family back home. It's like, dude, I got to do something else. So that's when I started my entrepreneurship journey of buying and selling iPhones. I did drop shipping, dude. I did stocks and crypto, right? I was just trying to make any kind of money because I was like, dude, I could barely, dude, my treat for myself back then was Cheetos and a lemonade every 2 weeks because the rest was going back home, right? That's all I saw. I was like, dude, I want a better life for myself and my family. So I had to do whatever I could. And then finally saw some success in digital marketing. I did that for 3 years. It was great. But then COVID happened and I focused on cars, which was the auto body industry. Then COVID pretty much destroyed the auto body industry. I had less than I had negative $456 in my bank account after all that 3 years of hard work. And then, yeah, at that point I was like, dude, what's going on? On top of that, I know me and you are both military members, and there's a lot of people that could probably relate to this. I got diagnosed with PTSD at that same time. 3 months prior, I was having panic attacks, anxiety, all that stuff, while me trying to make it in this entrepreneurship world. And then I was like, dude, I don't know if I could. Is this even for me? Because me and you both know this entrepreneurship is not easy, especially the way that we want to take it, right?
Yeah,
It takes
man.
it takes a certain person to do it. And most of the time you're even doubting yourself if I have it in me. So, I was like, dude, like I even prayed. So I'm a faithful guy. So I was praying like, is this for me? And then something inside me was like, let's try it one more time. And then after that, there's a quote that I love. It's, if you don't sacrifice for your dreams become the sacrifice. So that's what spoke to me. Something was saying, this is what you asked for. You want a better life. You want a better life for your family. This is part of the journey. Every single entrepreneurship journey sounds the exact same. It's going to be struggle. It's going to be hard, but guess what? It's going to be worth it. So I was like, okay, I'll try something one more time. And then for whatever reason, the thing that stood out to me the most was real estate during COVID. It's like, hey, there's 3% interest rate. No one's buying right now. Everyone's scared, but economics is economics, right? So I was like, people should be buying right now. This is the best time to buy. There was still 6.5 million home shortage right now. Why is no one buying? So I found out that you can get a 0% down VA loan, one of the most flexible loans out there. And then I found this duplex in San Diego, $800,000 for a duplex, unheard of in San Diego. But since there was low competition, I was like, okay, let me try it out. And then with my $6,500 left to my name and raising $30,000 on that one deal, the fast forward, I made about $700,000 on that first deal. Now I've generated over 7 figures more than 7 figures with the VA loan.
Yeah,
So
absolutely insane, bro. Like, dude, like there's so many nuggets that you were kind of talking about like the entrepreneur journey. And bro, like this is not easy, man. Like I've had, we talked about this when I first started real estate. Man, I think the first year I was so in over my head, dude. Like, and I would talk to my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. I was like, dude, you might have to leave my ass. This is like crazy. And she told me, she's like, listen, like everybody goes through these waves of like really bad stuff in their journey, and you just got to survive it, and get past it. And it does get a lot easier as you go. When you talked about raising your money from like a brand new person, right? How did you raise that money, dude?
dude, that's a great question. I just talk to as many people as possible. So that's my friends, my family, and I was even scared to talk to my coworkers because I didn't want them to find out. There's a whole nother story about that. Um, Eventually, I ended up raising $15,000 from my aunt. So she was like, "Okay, I know you haven't done this before, but I trust you. So here's 15,000." Dude, I was so excited. I was like, I've never raised money before. I'm like, I'm
Oh
a
yeah,
real
it's
investor
crazy.
now. I got 15 grand in my account. And then I even had this docu sign that said, I will pay you back $15,000. And that was it. It was just a signature.
Yeah.
And then the other 15,000, I was like, dude, I don't know where to get this extra money. So I just took it all out in credit cards. So that was the extra $15,000, which was cool because I went to Home Depot and Lowe's and then paid some contractors with that, and then it worked out. So 15 from private money, 15 from my credit card.
Yeah, I love that. And I love how you bring up credit cards too. A lot of people don't know this, but if you have an LLC, you can literally get a 0% credit card for like 12 months, 18 months. Like there are a whole bunch of different types of promotions that these credit card companies give you. And yeah, you can buy all your rehab products. If your contractor has like an online portal, like a QuickBooks thing, you can pay them with your credit card, 0% credit card. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I was beg, borrowing, stealing from my coworkers too. Like my coworker was actually the first person to ever lend me money on a real estate project. And it was just because he just overheard me on the phone talking to like a seller. And he was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "Well, I'm talking to a seller. I'm trying to buy a property." And he was like, "Bro, tell me more," and he ended up investing the first 15,000, same thing with you. And I used that 15 grand to renovate one of my duplexes. And that duplex is a midterm rental now. So I think I closed, like I have like a post about it on Instagram. It was like I brought $3,000 to close, and that property cash flows now over like 1,200 a month. So that like cash on cash return is like 3,000% or something like that. It's like
That is
something
a
crazy.
year, a year. That's
Yep.
nuts.
Absolutely
That is,
insane. So yeah, man, if you're veteran guys, like I said, like what Josh said earlier, you gotta try to use your VA loan. It is absolutely insane.
speaking of those percentages, man, like we haven't even talked about the co-living method that you could do on top of the VA loan.
Yeah, this is what you're known for. So let's talk about that.
Okay, so if you guys don't know what co-living is, I call it the DD214 strategy because once you implement this, you're out, baby. Because that's exactly what I did, right? Once I implemented this, I was like, "Yo, I'm making some pretty good cash flow now.
Uh,
Let me see if I can do this full time." So basically, what it is, it's actually a simple strategy that has been going around for a long time. It's rent by the room. It's nothing crazy at all, right? So you know those universities that have the dorms and stuff. All it is just putting that model into the workforce, right? And we all know universities. We all know that they're all for profit, so they're not doing it just for convenience. No, they're trying to make some money, and they've done it for a long time for a reason. So now, just putting it to the workforce. And here's some quick facts and data for you guys right now. Why are people making hand over fist on rent by the room models. Number one is that with this co-living model, you take out the living room and dining room. Well, a lot of people do it differently, but if you want to cash flow a little bit more, and this is really towards like the workforce, you could take out the living room and dining room and turn that into extra cash cows. So I'm talking about, one of my students right now, one of my mentees, they just put in $900 to build out a room. They're getting paid $1,400 a month right now. 400. Like
Wow.
just think about that return. And guess what? They only have to do it one time. But guess what? You have a living room and a dining room and a basement. Dude, like they were doing this on the East Coast. Just imagine the cash flow from something that was already there, just an unutilized space, into like you're just making an extra $30,000 out of thin air. And that's how I got started. It's like, yo, what the heck? I just made
Dude.
$30,000 out of thin air. Wait, what? This is an actual thing? I didn't even know it was called co-living back then. I just
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, you did co-living before co-living became popular.
Yeah, I did it back in 2020. So I was like, okay, let's try this out because I wanted to cash flow a little bit more, but I didn't know how. But yeah, with the co-living method, yeah, you could. It's pretty simple. It's just renting by the room and then turning unutilized space into cash cows. And then the data behind that is there. What is it? So there it is. It's about 35% of the US makes less than $34,000. I'm sure you heard of that statistic, right?
Yeah, I was actually about to ask you, like, because of like the affordability problem, that's just going to get worse and worse and worse. Like the co-living model really is, shoot, it's the future. Like honestly,
Yeah, well, the other statistic that I'm more excited about, well, kind of because this is this is our generation, which is millennials. 1 out of 4 millennials right now live with roommates. 1 out of 4. You know how many millennials there are? There's 72 million millennials. That's, what is that? Almost 20 million millennials in America right now live with roommates. And I'm sure you know about Pad Split already, right?
but
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
so
yeah.
Pad Split is one of the leading softwares for co-living. Like it's kind of like Airbnb, but for co-living, you put on your uh, your units on there. Just millennials alone, 20 million people. Like it's really like 17ish, 17 million people are living with roommates, but there are only 10,000 units on one of the leading platforms. Why? Why is that happening? Right?
Dude, it's crazy. Like literally, I'm in Alabama right now, and I literally found a deal, seller finance deal in Montgomery, Alabama. It's one of the Pad Split Anywhere program like cities. And I just talked to the Pad Split rep, and she was saying that only 3 houses in Montgomery are Pad Splits, right? And the PITI that I got on this deal, so I don't know if I'm gonna buy yet. I have another contract, but the PITI with the mortgage is $733. It's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath. I'm thinking about if I buy, I'm gonna convert it to like a 7 bedroom. Dude, 2 of those bedrooms cover the mortgage.
Yeah. So if you don't buy it, man, just send it over, bro. I'm happy to look at Montgomery. I've never been over there, but I'll be happy
Yeah.
to look at it.
Dude, it's wild, right? Like it's like the most generic house in the world. It's not like a, luxury 10 bedroom house. You're literally turning a 3 bedroom house into a 7 bedroom, and you are solving a problem. It's not like we're like terrible landlords that are like, "Oh, we're going to just make a ton of money." People like to live in a co-living property with Wi-Fi, utilities paid for, and they're paying like $500 a month versus paying $1,200 a month in rent. It's a
Yeah,
win-win across the board.
100%. So there's gonna probably be people listening to this like, dude, I'm gonna be taking out the living and dining room. Like, wouldn't that make the property worse? So here's the thing: data always speaks for themselves, right? So there's a bunch of people that, well, not people, companies because companies have a lot more money than we do, right? They have all the data, and they've already been doing this for over a decade, right? They've already seen that once you take out like the living room and dining room, you know what happens? What happens when there's no more couch? What happens when there's no more TV for everyone to lounge around? That means there's less people congregating, there's less people hanging out, and less people having parties and sleepovers. And best part is less places to clean, which is one of the top things that happens in co-living places where things get dirty and then people start blaming each other. Hey, that's mine. Yeah. Now with that extra income, not only you're not going to have a way fewer issues like that or challenges, now you can have enough money to just have a housekeeper that comes in once a week that cleans
Yes.
everyone, which is,
Bro, I'm telling
yeah,
you, it's like my buddy supplies the toilet paper and he cleans all the common areas, so bathrooms and kitchen. So really, the tenants are just in charge of keeping up their bedrooms tidy.
exactly. So yeah, all the common areas are just good to go, like at all times.
Holy cow. Okay, so if you're like, I know you're focused on the veteran space, but
Right.
how do you recommend someone getting into real estate, veteran or not? What's
Mhm.
like your first tip for like the first step? Like, what do you recommend?
So make do with what you have. So, especially if you have leverage that you can work with. On the real estate side, or the let's say the veteran side, you have the 0% down VA loan, right? But then you still have the other loans that you can take care of, which is the 3.5% FHA loan or the 3% conventional loan, right? And then with the conventional as well, they went up to 4 units for 5% down, which is absolutely nuts, right? 5% down for conventional, you get up to 4 units. Here, okay, I'm about to drop a gem right now that I
All
bet
right,
I
let's do
bet
it.
99% of your listeners probably don't know about. Okay, because even my military members don't even know about this until I share it with them. Okay, so how would you guys like a 0% down loan that is almost the same thing as the VA loan, and you don't have to serve the military? That sounds great, right?
Yeah.
Well, well, there's a loan that you can get. Okay, it's called the military choice loan. Okay. It's a home buyer's choice loan by Navy Federal. Yes, you have to know someone to get in there, but it's pretty simple to get in there. You just have to, if anyone in your family at all served the military at least one time in their life, you could get access to it. So the other thing too is if you have a roommate or you're friends with someone that you're really tight with that maybe you sleep over or live somewhere, a lot of it is you share the same address for a certain amount of time or whatever it is. Uh, dude, you can get 0% down now for a loan.
What? Like anybody? Like if I know, like let's say I was not in the military, but my uncle was in the military. Could I get into Navy Federal and get this loan?
100,000%.
Holy cow. I'm gonna tell my friends about this too.
Yeah, and
That's kind of crazy.
yeah, the cool thing about that too is I love it when I get to blow minds of military members and help them. Because when I'm on these one-on-one calls with them and building out a strategy, they're like, "Yeah, I know I want to use this VA loan, but I'm also doing this for my kids. I want to build a legacy for them." And then I'm like, "All right. So did you know that you can actually pass on some of those benefits to your kid, like paying 0% down as well?" And they're like, "Wait, what?" And these are people that have been in the military for 20 plus years. And then I was like, yeah, there's a loan out there called the Home Buyer's Choice. All you have to do is you need someone that you're related to in the military, and then you can pretty much transfer some of those benefits to your son, your daughter, whoever it is, and now they can get a property and you know get something that not a lot of people can, which is a property for 0% now. No
Dude,
PMI, by
if
the way.
my
All that
God,
good
wait,
stuff.
that has no PMI either.
No, nothing, bro. It's like the same exact thing as the VA loan, except it's at a normal interest rate.
Holy cow. Okay, so the first thing I'm thinking about, right, is let's say I have a kid. Dude, if they're going to college,
Mm-hmm.
get this freaking loan,
Mm-hmm.
go buy a house, and get all your college homies to live in that house.
Dude, exactly. Somebody in my community right now is doing exactly that.
Dude, you like that is like a no-brainer for me. Like when I look back upon when I was 18 and I paid all those like dormitory bills and
Mm-hmm.
renting and it's dude, just buy a house with zero money down, get all your borrow the money from someone to make rooms and just have like all your homies just in one crib. And it's gonna be so much fun. You're gonna literally make money to live there, and then when you leave, you're going to literally never have to get a job.
Dude, exactly, man. Like that, and then for like the newly enlisted or newly commissioned people, what I did was I bought a property and then I had all my friends stay in the property because they needed a place to stay anyways, and they don't want to stay on the ship or on base. No, they want to get separated from the military as much as they can while they're working. And then that's how you cash flow and live for free, pocket that extra BAH. Dude, so oh yeah, by the way, I did this all active duty, and you guys know what those active duty hours are. So it doesn't take that much time to do this. Like it was just a couple hours a week. Yes, I had to put in some extra hustle sometimes. Yes, of course. But it's definitely possible during active duty. And when you get a house, of course, you're getting paid BAH, right? But I was living for free now because I house hacked. Or in my case, I super house hacked where I bought a duplex, and instead of renting out per unit, I rented every room, right? And that I got to pocket that $2,500 every month now. And then that's what helps you like invest into marketing, invest into your business that you want, or do whatever, you know? You don't have to pay rent anymore.
What's 2,500 times 12? Let me see.
Dude, that's thirty thousand
1,200.
dollars.
Dude, $1,000. That's literally getting a $30,000 raise. You know what I'm saying? And then that's another down payment for another property.
Dude, that's what I'm talking about. Like, there is no reason why military members should not be using their VA loan. It's absolutely nuts. Guys, remember, only 6% of the military have used their VA loan at least one time in the past 5 years.
Dude, I just like, what do you think the problem is though? Like, what do you think the disconnect is?
So we've helped a lot of military members now, and biggest thing is just education, man. They probably heard about the VA loan 2-3 times, but then no substance behind it, no context. How can you actually use it? They're like, oh, I have this 0% down VA loan, but dude, those are just words to people. What does that actually mean? I don't know. What can that do for you? And now when I started doing the training, explaining like in depth, so we have this 2-3 hour training. It's for free for military members. I do it, and I do it live. And when we go and break down these things, dude, they're like, what the heck? I've been in the military for 20 years. I've never heard like 10% of this stuff.
It's crazy, man. They don't teach you this stuff.
They don't. And that's what sucks, because a lot more people could be in a lot better financially stable place if they just understood. Because buying, so just buying a property is cool, right? But when you do like the VA loan and live there, and then go on to your next duty station, and you just keep doing that, it's just working in the background. Imagine like this is like, it's not an exaggeration or anything, right? So the average value of a home right now is $412,000, right, in America. Now,
Yep.
412, 430, depending what data source you're looking at, right? So let's just call it 412, okay? So if you're cash flowing, so for our program, we like to look at $1,500 minimum cash flow. So that's using the co-living method, whatever. And then you have your equity pay down plus your appreciation. In the past 5 years, it's been 5%. In the last 12 months, people are not even talking about this, was 9.5% for
Yep.
appreciation across the country. People don't even talk about that. So with a $412,000 home, and the average military member, right, with BH can definitely qualify for this easily, right? Dude, you are making, plus the tax benefits, people don't talk about that either, right? You're making $102,000 of value every single year
My gosh.
per 0% down.
Yep.
No, I'm not exaggerating. Like with the equity pay down,
Yep.
appreciation, cash flow, everything.
Yeah, I think I did like a case study on my duplex. Like I said, $2,300 to close or something like that. And we bought it for 325, and even on a conservative 3.5% appreciation per year for 30 years. So assuming that I keep the same mortgage in place, fully paid off, that $2,300 investment that I made to buy that property will be worth over $1.5 million. Right? That's just using 3.5%. Right? And it's like, when you tell someone that does not understand that, they're just like, wait, what do you mean? Right? 23, like, I know a lot of people that invest in the stock market, and it's okay, right? Like, I'm not saying don't invest in the stock market, but you need to put in hundreds of thousands of dollars over a set amount of years to make even $1 million.
But
Bro,
yeah,
$2,300 is turning into 1.5 million, and that's not including cash flow that I've been getting every single month. And it's also not including, like you said, taxes. Like, I don't think me and you paid a single dime of taxes the last couple of years, right? You know what I mean? And this is all legal, right? Through our CPAs and stuff. But like, people do not understand like what's in front of them, you know?
mm-hmm. That's why education is huge. You can't do anything if you don't know. What was it? There's this Plato's. It's in a cave. Do you know what I'm talking about? Plato's. Is it
No,
Plato's cave?
I don't know if it's
Socrates.
Play-Doh.
So basically, you only know what you know. I know that sounds
No,
pretty
it's true.
plain and
Yeah.
basic. You only know what you know. So if you're raised with a certain amount of knowledge and you don't know what investing is, like you don't even understand the word, how are you going to accomplish that in your life? So that's the importance of education. And what the thing that I love the most is surrounding myself with like-minded people. That is huge. That's probably the biggest thing, because you thought you were thinking big until you talk to people that are thinking way bigger than you. You're like, dude, what am I
Bro.
talking about? Because I'm sure me and you were like, dude, I just want to make an extra $5,000 a month. That would be awesome.
Bro, dude, no, it's so true, man. It's so true.
Yeah. Yeah. And then now we're like, okay, I think we could do a little bit more than $5,000 a month.
No, there was a guy 2 years ago. I went to a real estate meetup, right?
Huh?
And not just to like go on a tangent, but he asked me, "Hey, what's your goal?" And 2 years ago, I was like, I would like to buy 5 houses in 30 years and retire from the military and, whatever. Bro, like, now, like, our portfolio is way over 5 properties, and like, I'm just like, what was I thinking? But because like I didn't know. I didn't know what was possible. I didn't know how to leverage, debt strategies, all that stuff. And it's like, wow, I'm thinking way small. And I met a guy that's like, dude, I own like 400 units in apartment complexes. And I'm like, okay, like maybe I can do something like that, right? And you just grow from there, and you start leveling up and getting friends that are doing more and more and bigger things, and you start thinking bigger, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Being exposed is definitely it. Like putting yourself in a situation where you have the opportunity to grow and learn, it's probably the best thing you could do for yourself. Or else, there's an example of a shark. I don't know if you've seen it on social media. If you put a shark in a small
Yeah.
fish bowl, it will, like, in a couple years, it will still be the same size. But then if you put it in the ocean, they're gonna grow as big as they can, right?
Yep.
So that is the same example of your mind. If you put yourself in a little fish bowl, then that's all it's going to be exposed to. But if you have the freedom to explore the bright blue ocean of this world, there's a lot of possible things you could do.
Dude, that is absolutely spot on, man. And I think, that message especially is so important for people to understand. You don't have to do the most insane things. You don't, right? You can own those 5 properties and be absolutely fine with retirement and stuff. But if you have big dreams, you do need to surround yourself with people that are dreaming bigger than you. And there's a couple ways to find them, right? Obviously, there's the free method of going to meetups and stuff, or you go to paid communities. I know Josh and I both belong to a numerous amount of different paid communities, and that's that's how I connected with Josh, right? Being in the same room together, and I'm like, dude, I was thinking too small before I met Josh, So you never know.
I appreciate that.
Of course, man. So, dude, you've dropped tons of gems. You dropped tons of knowledge. What are you working on now, and where can the people find you, man?
Yeah. So, what am I working on right now? So, as of right now, I have one active project. It is a 49-unit development in San Diego. So, working on one. This is my first big development. I partnered up with some amazing people on there. Definitely could not do it by myself. And then right now, it's building out this community that we have, helping out military members every day. And that it's so amazing because every single day we have people just purchasing, like as you probably know, people that purchase a property for the first time, your mindset absolutely shifts. They're like, wait, I can be a a real estate investor like right now. Like, yeah, you definitely can. And I love seeing that, helping people and helping them on their journey. And then after, like, we do right now, we think we're doing a really great job at that. And then just buy more properties. We're looking for more co-living properties. And I'm not going to say where right now, but I'll probably tell you after where. But yeah, 2025 is going to look really great. I love it.
I
Yeah.
love that. And I love the reshifting too, right? And I think a lot of people don't realize too is like your goals can shift, right? Like I've shifted a lot from last year to this year, and it's going to change in 2025 as well. So I'm excited to kind of chop it up with you afterwards and tell you what I'm working on next as well.
Yeah, dude. Speaking of goals, so, well, yeah, speaking of goals, like when we first started helping military members, I found out we were one of 3 in the nation doing it. So when you talk about a shortage of help, dude, like I know the other 2 people, like they're amazing guys, and we need to be helping a lot more people and spreading the word as much as we can, because I can bet like only maybe 1% of 1% knew everything that we talked about today,
Yep,
which is unfortunate
that's spot on.
but very
Yeah.
true. Yeah.
Jeez.
But yeah. And then the other question was, where can people find me? So my handle is Josh Villarreal on all the social media platforms.
Amazing. I'm going to link it all down in the description for you guys. If you guys are a veteran, you're looking to get into the real estate space, you absolutely need to reach out to Josh. He's been a tremendous value to me in this last year that I've known him. And I know he can bring you a tremendous amount of value as well. So, Josh, I appreciate you hopping on the show, man, and dropping them gems today. And I'll see you next time, man.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate you having me on.